welcome to the Anime Void. I'm Brian, your host, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Prisma Illya movie, Vow in the Snow. This movie was technically chosen by the monthly poll that I have on my channel. It had tied with Absolute Demonic Front Babylonia, and I had to make a decision between the two. And I chose this movie because I haven't actually seen it yet. On that note, there won't be a review poll for December. I'm going to be reviewing the anime Itsudate My Santa for the holidays. So if you enjoyed this video and want to see that one, you better be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss an upload from me. But let's get into the review. Vow in the Snow is a prequel to the Prisma Illya series, taking place from the perspective of the Shiro Emiya from Miyu's original world. Fate really does love its alternate universes, don't it? But, unlike the third Fuyuki Holy Grail War, I'm fine with this one. Especially since there is no Fuyuki Grail War in this universe. It is instead replaced with the Ainsworth Holy Grail War. In this version of the ritual, masters use class cards to install servants into their body and fight like that. For all of the many faults of the Prisma Illya series, this isn't one of them. This is genuinely really cool idea. I love install, and Fate needs to do more things with that. Somehow introduce it to Fate Grand Order. I don't know how that would work, but I want it. Anyway, in this timeline, Kiritsugu still ends up adopting Shiro after a massive disaster happened. But it's not due to a Holy Grail War. Kiritsugu was never even part of a Holy Grail War. He never even met the Ainsburns. So here we're seeing a much more desperate and somehow even more callous version of Kiritsugu than we see in Fate Zero. Statements I never thought I would actually have to say, but here we are. He and Shiro do actually end up seeing the fallout of the end of the Fourth Ainsworth Grail War, though. This is a cataclysm that is probably even worse than what happened at the end of the Fourth Fuyuki Grail War, because a massive chunk of the population is just wiped out, and it is a fact stated throughout the movie. They managed to find Miyu among the wreckage, who was actually the reason that the cataclysm was stopped, thanks to her god powers. Oh, right, so yeah, the children of Miyu's birth family are gods. They are capable of granting wishes, like a holy grail does, and you gotta love it when you find a group of people who have the power of literal gods at their disposal, and they just don't really use it for anything. They're just very chill and just kind of want to live comfortable lives. I can dig that. Anyway, that is how Miyu is adopted into the Emiya household, where Shiro does start treating her like a little sister. And after Kiritsugu passes away, they live pretty uneventful lives. Until they don't. The last remaining member of the Ainsworths does find out about Miyu and kidnaps her to kickstart another Holy Grail War. And I'm sure you're wondering at this, what is the villain's big goal? What nefarious plots does he have for young Miyu? Well, he wants to save humanity. Yes, that is correct. The main villain of this movie has the same goals as Kiritsugu and the goals that Shiro desperately tries to adopt. He wants to prolong humanity's survival and peace. All it would really cost is to sacrifice Miyu. And Shiro's not about that life. So just like the Heavensfield version of Shiro, he is completely unable to sacrifice a single person that is so dear to him in order to get the goals that his adoptive father wanted. Though thankfully it is just as brotherly love and nothing more. Really worried there for a second, but they didn't cross that line. So, Shiro ends up participating in the Holy Grail War, installing his future self, heroic spirit Emiya. I like to call this version of Shiro, Shiro Squared. And he goes through a montage of killing the other various masters, who end up just being puppets that are controlled by Julian. And it is at this point that I'm really questioning the logistics of this. Because if Julian has all the class cards and he's controlling all of the masters, and he has Miyu, why is any of this happening? The movie doesn't really explain this setup at all. And while I do believe there is a manga version of this that does expand upon this story more, I'm reviewing the movie. The movie has left out pertinent information that I need to understand the plot, and that is a fault of the movie. It doesn't matter if that information is available elsewhere. I am currently watching the movie, and I need that information to enjoy the movie. But anyway, Shiro ends up gathering all 7 class cards and goes to the Holy Grail to make his wish. And he wishes that Miyu can go to a world where she can be happy, where she can find friends and people that she cares about, and be able to live life how she wants to. And this is the wish that brings her to the Prillya universe proper. It is a touching and such a lovely moment that I am choosing to ignore certain things that happen in the Prillya universe so that I don't ruin this moment for myself. While the ritual is transpiring, Shiro faces off against Angelica, who is installed with Gilgamesh, while Shiro's own existence is beginning to unravel. He just needs to hold off long enough so that Miyu can be transported to her new world. And boy does he! Complete with a new Unlimited Bladeworks chant and the reality marble looking bleak as hell, this fight's awesome! It even ends with Shiro temporarily holding back Aya by pure force of shooting an endless stream of swords at it, buying him just enough time for Miyu to be safe. And we cap off the story with Miyu arriving in her new Fuyuki, meeting Sapphire, Luvia, and of course, Illya. Overall, this is a pretty good movie. It's got good drama and great action, and I love this version of Shiro. He's probably my favorite. Having a big brother in an anime who sacrifices everything he has to protect her with no creepy undertones is blessed. This is a man who has lost everything, and yet he fights anyway. Not even to get Miyu back, but just to make sure that she's safe, to make sure that she knows that she is loved and deserves to be happy. That is everything that Shiro wants. It is such a beautiful sentiment and a beautiful telling of it. And another bonus overall is that there's no creepiness in this movie, period. So I can actually recommend it to people who don't like Prisma Illya proper. There's this! This movie takes all of the good moments that are in Prisma Illya, the great action set pieces, and the deeper implications of certain characters, while playing it completely straight, albeit pretty damn dark. So the title of this video of this movie being the perfect version of Prisma Illya is not technically correct, because I do like the levity that is in Prisma Illya, just when it's not sexual. So yeah, no, I don't want the entire series to be as dark and dour as this movie is. I just want the sexual bits not to focus on the younger cast members. But the biggest downside to this movie is it's very condensed. It's just shy of 90 minutes. As I said before, some information is not given or explained upon at very crucial moments. And for all the moments where it doesn't do that, it can be fine. If you have critical thinking skills, there are moments where you can put 2 and 2 together. For example, the disaster that Shiro was a part of where Kuretsugu saved him from. It's never explicitly stated that that wasn't the result of a Holy Grail war. But if you know the series, you can pick up on context clues and figure out that, yeah, it just was a quote-unquote normal disaster. It's just things like the Masters serving Julian where it's a problem. I'm still not actually sure how that's supposed to work. Also, a majority of the fights are relegated to the montage that I mentioned earlier. So yeah, that does cut down the hype quite a bit even if it's understandable that you can't have that many fights in a barely feature-length movie. Still sucks, though. Overall, at the end of it, I do think this movie was a pretty damn good watch. And I do recommend Fate fans do check it out. Because it's fun to see a Fate universe that doesn't revolve around a Fuyuki Grail. And I personally look forward to seeing the next movie, where hopefully it keeps up the trend of nothing sexual happening. Unless those sexual things happen to Angelica, then I am fully on board with that! With all that said, what do you think of Fate Prisma Illya Vow in the Snow? Let me know down in the comments below, I am very interested to find out. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content, and I will catch you next time in the void! Later.